Hi, this is Matt with Bob Johnson's Computer Stuff. Today we're going to be doing a quick video on how to replace the hinges on a CF53. The first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to go ahead and remove the battery. As I've shown you in previous videos, it is on the right hand side of the computer. You open the tab here, and on the bottom there's a little lever. You push the lever and grab the tab on the battery and pull it out. Now, to replace the hinges on the CF53, you'll first need to open the screen up and remove these 3 screws. That hold the plastic cover down above the keyboard where the power button is. It covers the hinges. You need to remove the screws that hold that plastic piece down, that plastic bezel down, so you can remove the bezel. You just need a Phillips head screwdriver for this part. Then go ahead and close the lid and take your fingers and just push in lightly on the back of the hinge cover. There's tabs that hold it in place, so you kind of pull it in some and lift up at the same time. And then take a screwdriver, or you can use your fingers, but it's usually easier if you get a flathead screwdriver, and go in underneath the hinge cover and gently lift up. Okay, now that the hinge cover is up, you can see all the wiring, you can see the power button board. What you'll need to do is, if you have this board here, which is, I believe, for the Bluetooth, you need to remove that board, so you can access the hinges. Make sure not to lose any screws or any parts along the way. Keep track of all your screws and all your parts. Take the screws off this board, just lift it up. There's a ribbon cable on the bottom side. There's a ribbon cable here on the bottom side. You just loosen up the connector a little bit and then pull the cable out. Then you need to remove these wiring too. It's color coded, so you can just pull them up, and it's color coded right on the board. It tells you which colors go where, so you don't have to keep track of that. And you need to pull the actual screen cable up, which is over right here. Just grab the cabling and gently lift it up. From there, you can begin to actually undo the hinges. There's a screw here, a screw here. Oh, let me zoom back out so you can see what I'm pointing at. There's a screw here and a screw here holding the hinge in place. And if you close the hinge, you can see the other ones there in the back. There's a screw here and a screw here holding the hinges in place. So just go ahead and remove those screws. You just need a Phillips head screwdriver to remove those screws. Once you have all those screws removed, you can remove the upper lid from the computer. Now, to remove the hinges from the upper lid, you have to start by removing the screen bezel. Now, you want to be careful when you're doing this part, especially if you have a touchscreen CF53. The touchscreen models are very easy to break the touchscreen panel and or the screen when you're doing this part. I would advise that if you're doing a touchscreen unit, that you send it into somebody that you send it into us or somebody else that has experience doing this, because it's very easily broken when you're doing this part. You'll want to go ahead and move the hinges out of the way a little bit. You can just carefully do that with your fingers. And then you can either use a flathead with a fine tip, or you can use, as I'm going to in this case, a knife, just a simple box opener, to get up under there's plastic covers and rubber covers that hold the screws in place. You need to remove the rubber covers in the corners. There's a plastic cover here and a plastic cover here that you need to remove. You do not need to remove this middle one. This middle one is just a cover covering up the spot where the webcam would go if it had a webcam. You need to remove the one on the bottom, the ones on the bottom as well. And once you remove all those, there's screws underneath of them that need to be removed. You just carefully get under the corner of it and lift up. You want to be careful so you do as little damage to the covers as possible. It's very easy to damage them. Just go slow and be careful and you should be fine. All right, so after you remove those covers, you need to remove the screws. There should be a total of 6 screws you need to remove. Keep track of where these screws come from because they are different sizes. The screws from the top are slightly shorter and they're not quite as thick as the ones on the bottom. You can't really see it that well. Let me see if I can get this to adjust a little bit better. The smaller one is just a little bit bigger than, it's just a little bit smaller. It goes on the top, the bigger one goes on the bottom. And then the two in the upper middle are completely different screws. They're smaller black screws compared to the silver screws that go on the outer corners. Okay, once you've removed all the screws, you can use either an old card, like an old credit card that's expired, or an old rewards card or whatever, or a flathead screwdriver with a fine tip, or you can use this. This is just a scraping tool that we have. I'm going to use. You want to flip the screen over, and there's a groove right along the edge of the entire upper bezel. You need to carefully get under it with your flathead tool. I advise starting at about the same place I do and very carefully lifting upward to open it up. There's tabs along it, so go very slowly and be very careful so as to not break the tabs, especially on the corners. You just kind of lift it up. And I usually run along the top first before I go and work my way to the sides. When you go to do the corner, like I said, just be very careful so as to not break anything. You'll want to do the same thing along the bottom here, but be very careful. Once you've gone completely around it, your screen and touchscreen panel, if you have a touchscreen, should lift off separate from the back bezel for the upper lid. From there, there's one screw for each hinge, one screw on the inside for each hinge and one on the outside. The one screw on the inside is right here and right here. And on the outside, the screw is right here. And right here. Just go ahead and remove those screws. I'm just going to do the one side. It's the same for the other side. You just remove the screw, the two screws holding it in place, and then just lift the old hinge up and put your replacement hinge in. There's nothing wrong with this one, so I'm not replacing this one. I'm just reinstalling it. Once you've put both your hinges in place, just put the screws back in their proper place and begin the reassembly of your unit. Just put everything back the same way it came apart, which I will show you. Okay, once the the screws on the hinges are tightened, you can start off by grabbing your screen bezel, and touchscreen panel if you have touchscreen. Carefully sit it back in place, line it up, making sure all the cables are where they need to be so they don't get pinched. Make sure everything's lined up, and then just carefully go around the edges and carefully push down around the edges and closing the tabs. You may have to go around a couple of times carefully and just make sure that it's all closed in like it should be. Then go ahead and put your screws back in place on holding the screen bezel to the back upper lid. Remember, the two thinner black ones go in the middle. The two smaller silver ones go on the tops, and the two thicker silver ones go on the bottom. Go ahead and put the covers back over the screws. From there, go ahead and grab the bottom portion of your computer and start off by sliding your hinges into place. They're probably going to need to be realigned, so just carefully realign them using your fingers to get them to line up and the screws to start going in. And start off by just putting one screw in at a time in the front. And do not tighten them down all the way. Before you tighten them down all the way, you're going to want to make sure that the lid latch is in the correct position. Otherwise, you'll have to take it back apart and readjust it anyways. Because if the hinges aren't in the exact right position, the lid will not close properly on its own. So just tighten the hinges down slightly in the back, not all the way as well. Just leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room so that if you have to readjust it slightly before you tighten it all the way down, in order for the lid to latch properly, you can. Then just make sure your screen is closing properly. I would advise checking once or twice, few times before you go ahead and tighten it down. I would go ahead and have it closed and tighten the ones in the back the rest of the way up first. Do one last check to make sure it's opening and closing properly. Tighten your screws down in the front. And double check it one last time. Now go ahead and put your screen cable back into position. You just line it up and carefully push it into place. And same thing with these other ones. The white star, it's color coded white, blue, gray, and black. And if you had the Bluetooth antenna on your computer, just go ahead and reconnect that and rescrew that back into place. Make sure to tuck your cables in nicely so that they don't get pinched by the hinge cover, and go ahead and slide the hinge cover back into position. And before you screw it in place, make sure to check in the back. Make sure that none of the antennas or wiring got caught in the back, and just give it a little bit of push up on the top to make the hinge cover pop in place in the back. Put your screws back in, holding that in place. And you're all done with your video. Just you're all done with your hinge replacement. Just go ahead and put your battery back in, and you can power up your computer and continue to use your computer. That's it for today's video. If you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, just let us know. You can give us a call at our toll-free number of 877-202-7788. Or you can send us an email to our tech support email of tech_support@bobjohnson.com. That's it for today's video. Just a quick video on how to install the hinges on a CF53. If you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you. Have a good day.